doctor was, how long am I going to live?
Diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer.
There was one person who had cancer 29 times, still running a marathon. My doctor, कि मैं बीमार दिखनी नहीं चाहिए.
Namaskar.
Nobody in the family had cancer. So I remember I used to work the next day after my chemotherapy.
Vanity also gets a hit when you lose your hair and
bone was removed. They took out the tumor. Say that time is a great healer, but so is your body. I was traveling to Europe after 20 days of my surgery.
Where do you get this strength and courage
and I go for a targeted therapy every 21 days. Cancer is not a full stop to your life. It is.
Breast and brain cancer patient is interviewing a brain and breast cancer patient.
Cancer, you picked the wrong girl.
Namaskar and welcome to Warrior Voices with Sangeeta. She was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in 2023. And just when she thought she was finding her way through it, it came back in 2025. This time, even worse. A stage 4 brain cancer. Yet today, she's not just surviving, she's fighting, she's living, and even running marathons for cancer warriors. She's a 45-year-old mother, a loving wife, a corporate leader, and a fighter. This story is of courage beyond diagnosis. Let us welcome our guest and a fighter, a warrior, Genus Panu Kohli. Welcome to the podcast, Genus. Welcome to the podcast, Genus.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sangeeta.
Genus, can you tell us something about how your life is in a joint family and a little bit about your career? Can you share something about yourself before we start the interview?
Okay, so sure. I am Genus Panu Kohli. I stay in a joint family, as you rightly said. It's a big family. I think the world is changing, but staying in a joint family in New Delhi is different. But it's, I think, a blessing. I stay with my husband and my son for sure, and then my mother-in-law, father-in-law, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, their two daughters. So it's a big family. A dog, and my cook, so everyone. So we stay in one house. And I think having a lot of people around you help you do a lot of things which probably nuclear families today cannot, like taking care of the babies when you are out working, or maybe having that kind of support when you need them the most. So it's a blessing, and I love being with them. That's my support system. I'm an AVP in a multinational company. I think I'm working from last 20 years now, 20 plus years now. And it's been a fast, I think, times. I've been working on and on and on, even after, the cancer diagnosis that I had. So that's about me, in short.
You're also a travel enthusiast and a fitness lover. So when you were not diagnosed, prior to your diagnosis, what was a perfect day for you?
So I think a perfect day was probably a normal day, which means that sending my son to school, then waking up, doing a little bit of exercise, opening the laptop, and then 14-15 hours back to back on calls, and then be with the family for some time, like half an hour, 1 hour, binge watch something at night and sleep. So that was a normal day in my life. A perfect probably would be going out with the family on a short trip or something. So that was it.
So what was your reaction when you were first diagnosed with breast cancer? Stage 2 breast cancer, correct?
Correct. It was a stage 2 and 3 because it spread to the lymph nodes as well. I had no cancer history, so nobody in the family had cancer. So I had very, very little awareness about what cancer is. And it's only in the Hindi movies that you see cancer as like a big thing, and people are going to die after that. It's like a death sentence. So I was feeling the same. I thought, okay, the life is over now. And I think the first two questions that I asked my doctor was, how long am I going to live, and will I be able to work or not? So
Yes.
these were the two questions, because I thought it's now, the life is coming to a stop very soon. But then the doctor told me that, you're going to live long, nothing to be really scared about, and then you can continue working. And that thought probably changed, a lot of perception about cancer for me as an individual. And I remember I used to work the next day after my chemotherapy. I never took any leaves, like, I'm resting or just thinking about what has happened to me, etc., etc. I just, continue to work.
That was very brave of you that you continued to work during your treatment, because did you have to go through chemos? So
Yes,
how
I
many?
had undergone 6 chemos
Okay.
First day of a
initially.
chemo.
Okay.
And those 6 chemos were, of course, there are symptoms, there are side effects, there are days when, you don't feel like doing anything, and your body needs a lot of rest. The food doesn't taste well. You're losing hair, and and a lot of other things. You have a bad stomach, you have fever, you have weakness, and you have low immunity. So a lot of things, but I think I accepted that as part of my treatment, that till the time my 6 chemos are over, these will happen. And I know the first week will be like bad, the second will become a little normal, and the third week probably is going to be better than the last 2 weeks, and then the next cycle. So that's how it was. Symptoms here and there, and I just went through those.
And yet you used to go to your office and work. So you're a very brave lady, I
For
must
I
say.
think for the first 2 3 chemos, yes, I went to office because the hair was in process of going away. So I had got different hairstyles, which I was not able to do it probably the initially. So I got a blunt first, and then I got like that kind of a boy cut, whatever you call it. And then when it started to fall a bit, and then I had like a scanty hair, that's when I stopped going to office. I was working online after that, and then I just got bald, thinking that these little hair doesn't look good on me. So I just got a bald look, and then carried it well for some time. Then the chemo got over, the hair started to come again, and then I started going to office once again. I mean, I took a break of 2 3 months. I was working online, I was not going to office physically, but I was always working.
That's wonderful that at least online you kept yourself occupied, because it's very important to
Yeah.
keep yourself occupied and, not think of what your body is going through. So,
I think, yeah, that's the way out, because if you keep thinking and going into depression, that what is happening to me, and why am I getting it, why me, and all of that, it'll only put you in depression. If you stop thinking and waking up with a new thought, that what am I going to do today, do something new, learn something new, what is my checklist, which I probably have been ignoring from a long time. There are a few things that I now want to prioritize. I think it makes a perfect day at that point in time, and that these are some of the things that I'm going to cover today. So that's how I took it very, very positively, just taking it as part of life at that point, and continue to work and learn and do new things.
that must have really helped you, because, it helps when you're
Correct.
so positive about whatever you're going through. So, what was tougher for you, the physical part or the emotional, that accepting, because our vanity also gets a hit when you lose your hair and, eyebrows and eyelashes. I lost my eyebrows, eyelashes, everything. So,
Me too.
yeah. So, what was tougher for
Me
you?
too.
The physical, aspect of it, or the emotionally, what you were going through mentally? What was tougher? What was tougher for you?
See, emotionally, I think I am strong, and I have a family support system. So that was okay. But physically, I told my doctor कि मैं बीमार दिखनी नहीं चाहिए हूँ, चाहे हूँ बहुत ज़्यादा बीमार. So that was, very important for me. Losing hair was bad. I mean, I loved my hair. I loved the way I look. So it was bad, looking like a cancer patient, because you don't have eyebrows, you don't have eyelashes, you don't have hair on your head, and you look a little weak. So there's a separate look of a cancer patient. So that
Right.
came on me. That is what I didn't like physically. And then I was gaining weight because probably I was not as active as I was earlier, or maybe because of the medicines, the water retention, the steroids, or something. I was gaining weight. So these two things probably weren't that great with me. But emotionally, I think I took it well, with everybody around me who was always there. If my legs are paining, there's some people doing a little bit of massaging my head, massaging my legs, um, doing karaoke, which I love the most, and doing things that I like. So all the time it was a good atmosphere around me, a positive atmosphere. Nobody was only talking about cancer. I remember my husband didn't let the relatives, etc., call me asking me for my health. So he used to be the barrier between me and the relatives and not talking about cancer all the time. So that helped.
That's wonderful that you had such a strong family support. And yeah,
Yeah.
when you were going through this. So in 2025, you were diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. Uh, that is what it was, a metastasis, or what was it like? How?
It was, yeah, it was the same cancer that went from breast to the brain. I thought, the treatment is over. It took 1 year for the breast cancer treatment. So it started in January 2023, and I remember taking out the chemo port in December 2023. So that 1 year, I was very positive, motivated. Oh, ek saal ki baat hai, ho jayega, and then it'll never come back. And my doctor also told me only 5% of the patients, who undergo treatment like you will have it back. So I was like very confident that I'm not 5% of those people, but I think I was one of those 5%. It record It wasn't a great news, because I thought that I'll never get it again. It came back. I was demotivated, and brain controls like most of your body, and you always worry that what is going to happen. And there were scary thoughts that, will my lymph be working the way they are, or will I be talking the way I am after the surgery? What is going to happen? But thankfully it was on the on the right side of the brain, and the surgery went well, and I came back
Which area
from it,
was it
and
in?
thankfully
Where did it
this was
come?
this area.
Okay.
This
Okay.
area. So it was, I think, a huge, I don't remember the measurement
And
perfectly, but yeah, the cut was this big.
okay. So it was on the surface, or it was, deep rooted?
I know they had to, it was deep rooted, but it was one, it wasn't scattered all over the brain.
Okay.
So there was one lump and edema, and there was, because of the edema, there was a midline shift in the brain. So they had to operate it immediately. And so the bone was removed, they took out the tumor, again, put the bone back,
Mm.
tied it with some screws, I don't know what, and that's how it was. But I told them not to cut my hair this time. So they just took some part of hair from here, this part, and did the surgery.
Yeah, they don't remove the hair nowadays, no? They just remove the scalp and
Yeah, they
leave the
just
hair. Yeah, I was, you know
little
what,
bit of hair.
Genius? I think we are making history today because a breast and brain cancer patient is interviewing a brain and breast cancer patient. So I
Oh,
don't think it's ever
I
happened before.
know how it feels.
I don't think
I
it's
know
ever
how it
happened before.
feels.
I think we are making history today.
Awesome, awesome. And I think, when I always say that, everybody I think has a checklist. I want to do this, that. I want to run a marathon. I want to travel to Europe, US, and the world. One of the things that I wanted to do after cancer was doing a podcast. And thank you so much, Sangeeta. Today I'm doing that as well. So another tick in the box that I wanted to be in an interview and talk about what happened and how big is this word cancer.
It's my honor to have you here today because I'm really amazed
Thank you.
at
Thank you so
the
much.
at your spirit and at your courage. I mean, yeah,
Thank you.
honestly, I'll share with you something that I am very scared of the thought of an operation. The brain one.
I
Breast
know.
cancer I had to go through, but the
Yeah.
brain one, I'm very scared of it. So you're a very brave
Yeah,
lady,
I
I
was
must tell
scared
you.
too.
I'm not as courageous as you. So yeah,
No, I think 2, 3 months I was also not that positive because the doctor did not give me a clear indication of my lifespan, which is left. And if you Google it, it's always small time period left, and
never Google,
all of
never
that
Google.
thoughts.
I don't Google
Uh,
it till date. I
no,
don't
no,
Google it.
yeah, and I want to give this message that don't Google, go with what your body says. And I always say that time is a great healer, but so is your body. You're going to recover. Look at the kind of surgeries we've undergone, right? With brain also, I think I was traveling to Europe after 20 days of my surgery
Oh, is it?
alone. It was a solo trip. Yeah.
Don't tell me. I mean, yeah, even I traveled
Yeah,
after
it was
one
an
month,
official trip.
but that was,
No, it
yeah.
was an official trip, but I thought I can manage and I'll go alone. So I went.
And your doctor allowed you to go. So,
I told the doctor, see, if you're doing the surgery, this trip is, I'm not going to cancel the trip. You can delay the surgery, the
so
trip will
from
not be delayed.
yes, Genius, I really want to know from where do you draw this courage and strength? From where do you get this strength and courage that, after a brain surgery, you're going 20 days later, you're going on some trip abroad. From where do you get that kind of courage and
I don't
strength?
know. I don't know. I think, Sangeeta, it is, you have to live your life. I mean, your life is short, and there is some importance in something that you want to do with your life, and you can't be delaying just because something has happened to you. You still continue to long as you can, and as long as your body is allowing you to. If my body is not allowing, of course I will not be able to do it. But if I have the strength and courage to just get up and do whatever I want to, I should do it. I shouldn't be delaying.
Correct. Very true. Very true. How different has the journey been for you compared to your first diagnosis? This, like, what difference did you find in your first diagnosis and the second?
Number one is awareness. I think, initially I was not aware of cancer. The first news when came, it was really shattering. I mean, for the family, for me, I was thinking a lot, how am I going to tell my son about it? I don't know, how long I will be able to be with him, and what kind of side effects am I going to get? I mean, I had no idea at all. So, no awareness in the first diagnosis. So, I took it as it came. And I learned that, you get well. There are good and bad days. And all these good and bad days are symptomatical, right? If you have some bad symptoms, you probably will feel a little low. But there are normal days when you feel normal. So, all of that awareness came with my own experience. Nobody came and told me, "Yare, cancer hai, koi baat nahi. ऐसा होगा वैसा होगा." Doctor gave me, okay, SOS, if you get this, take this. If you get this, take this. So that was it, a discharge summary. But that's not, what exactly it is. You have a new day every day. You have a new symptom every day, and you have to know how to deal with it. Is it really necessary to take that pill because I'm having a certain symptom? All of that came with my own experience since I went through the journey. So there was nothing, probably, a support, a mental or a medical support per se, apart from that discharge summary or the doctor, who I can reach out to, or the tests that I undergo. But no mental support or no awareness support as such that, okay, this is how it is going to be. You'll pass through, you'll go through this. So that kind of awareness was not missing in the second diagnosis. I knew that if there is something that is happening, there will be a medicine to it. There will be an antidote.
Mhm.
So I think awareness plays a big part of it. From what is different between the first and the second diagnosis.
What you're saying is that you knew what was going to come, or you were prepared for what was going to come better this time, the
I was
second time.
prepared. I was prepared. I was better prepared, and I knew that my chemo was harsher in the first one, and this chemo is not going to be that harsh because it's an oral chemo, and I go for a targeted therapy every 21 days now. So I know what kind of side effects do I get from a hormonal therapy versus a targeted therapy versus a chemotherapy versus the radiations versus the surgery. So I knew all of it. So I was prepared, mentally prepared that this is going to happen, and there will be days when I'll be low. And then I thought, okay, this is part of my life now. The treatment is indefinite. I have to undergo a therapy every 21 days. There are certain tablets that I have to take in the morning, in the evening, and I accepted it, and it is now a part of my world. I have to do that.
You recently participated in a marathon despite all these,
Yeah.
challenges. You participated in a Cancer Warrior Marathon. So, what did that moment mean to you?
It was amazing, Sangeeta. There were people who had like pipes in the nose and still were running. There were older ladies, who'd underwent, I think, the surgeries and everything. And, they're still dancing on the music. They're doing Zumba. And, people are running just because they want to make the world aware that cancer is not a full stop to your life. It is a new beginning with a new mindset. I think cancer has acted like a catalyst for them. The life changes, right? You have a kind of new positivity in your life. And you do, how many older women do you say nowadays who are non, who are disease free, no cancer, nothing, and running a marathon? You don't. And here I saw so many elderly women running, happily dancing, and showing that they're very proud as cancer warriors. There was one person who had cancer 29 times, still running a marathon. It was amazing.
29
See,
times? 29?
29 times. It was announced on the stage
Really?
that this person had cancer 29 times.
It's unbelievable.
So that's how it is.
I've never heard that before.
Unbelievable.
I mean, 29 times.
It was announced on the stage. Yeah.
How old was that person?
Could be old. I did not ask the age though. But yeah, it was announced on the stage that, this person had 29 times cancer, still surviving, still running a marathon.
Amazing,
So,
amazing. Hats off to whoever that was. So you were just now saying cancer acts like a catalyst and it brings about changes in you. And so what do you think, how has it changed you, your diagnosis as a cancer warrior, cancer patient? How has it changed you?
I think similar way, as I told you that, earlier I was only procrastinating a lot of things, thinking that, there will be some right time. But after cancer, it is always my plans, my way or the highway. If I want to travel, I want to travel. If I want to do something, I will do it today.
You
Like
start
I told
becoming
you,
a
the podcast,
priority.
the marathon. Yeah, I now prioritize my yoga, my meditation, what I want to do. So all of those things have to happen now. I don't delay it. If it has come to my mind, I'll just do it.
You meditate
So that
every
has
day?
changed. That
You meditate, Janus, every day?
I try. I try doing it every day, but I do it at least thrice or four times a week. I have a personal yoga tutor who comes home, so I do the yoga, meditation, breathing with her.
Yeah, that's wonderful
Because
actually. Breathing helps a lot. Pranayam helps a lot.
it
Helps
helps.
a lot.
It
Yeah.
helps. It helps.
Yeah.
It gives
And
you a very
meditation also helps.
calm starting.
Yes,
Yeah, it
it
gives you
does.
a calmer starting of the day. So
So, how do you think a society can support cancer warriors and their families better?
have to make them aware first. There is no awareness to them also, Sangeeta. We as cancer warriors probably would know that, okay, it's not end of life. If you look at, all the people around you, because you bald or you look like a cancer patient, it is only sympathy that comes out of them. Or they will also start already thinking and assuming this person is not going to live long. Yeah, थोड़ी sympathy दिखा दो. So that has to change. It's like any
Very
other
true. You
disease.
have to
It's
stop behaving. I mean, people have to stop interacting with cancer patients like as if they are bicharas. They need to
Yeah, they're
accept
not
that
becharas.
some like to do that and some like to keep away as if it's some kind of an infectious thing. They don't want to include you because they think that you're a patient and you probably are at your end of your life.
I also did not tell my office colleagues, every one of them. There were only few, I think my few bosses who knew that, I'm undergoing a treatment. And I never felt like telling everyone around me that, okay, I'm, undergoing a treatment, because then they will stop giving me the kind of attention and priority they give me today because of, you know, s- my strengths. They will start to look at me like, with some empathy and think, oh,
Yeah,
बेचारी को तो
that is
कैंसर
why
है, इसको
people
क्या
are,
काम
many
ज्यादा
people don't
देना.
come out about their diagnosis. They don't tell, they
Correct,
don't share because
correct.
people treat you differently. You know?
They start to treat
Yeah,
you differently.
you
That
become like
awareness
an
is not
alien.
our awareness. The awareness is society's awareness. They have to know
Yeah, that
that, okay, people will come out of it.
if you had to describe your journey in one sentence, what would it be?
So I remember in the first diagnosis, I came across a book. I think Shamita Mukherjee had written that. Cancer, you picked the wrong girl. It was the title of the book, and I loved it. And from that time onwards, I think I've been keeping that title in my head that, yes, Cancer, you've picked the wrong girl.
I have also written a book, Light Beyond the Shadows. You must read it. That is
I am
also a
going to I
little bit
am
of
going to
humor.
read it.
And you must read my Operation Theatre experience. That's something amazing that happened, which even I can't believe it
Pakka
happened.
se.
You must read that.
I know. I will.
Venus, is there any message you would like to give to someone who has, been diagnosed or going through a similar situation?
Element is staying positive. That is very important, because if you yourself think that you're dead, you of course dead. But if you think that you have a long life and you have a lot of things to do, you have a checklist you want to complete, just go ahead, start doing it. So that's like a positive note that I want to give to everyone who's undergoing the same journey. And the second very, very important message is a health insurance, because when people around you are telling you to be positive and you getting financially drained, of course you will not be happy, right? So having an insurance, a good health insurance, is another key element that keeps you motivated, because that the expenses are being covered by the insurance company, and you don't have to get drained of your finances, and you can use that funds in something that you like doing. So that is another important message to everyone who's disease free, who's a fitness freak, who's hitting a gym every day, who's eating a healthy diet, and get the regular screening done. Be very ready with your finances, and always be motivated towards your life.
Actually, that is a wonderful piece of advice that you have given, that take care of your finances, secure, take a good insurance,
Yeah, very important.
very
it,
important,
it's it
and
is an expensive
screening.
disease.
Yes, it's very important to get
Screening,
screening. Yeah,
regular screening.
because if cancer
Yeah,
is detected early, it is curable.
early.
And now that I see
Yes.
now, even like you said, 29 times, and you're stage
Yeah.
4. So, yeah, things have progressed a lot.
I know things have progressed a lot. I think the stigma is attached from decades ago and still carrying on because people are not aware. But the medical sciences, I think, have discovered a lot of good medicines which help you have a quality of life even after cancer.
Cancer. Yes, true, very true. Thank you so much, Venus, for sharing your journey with us and being such an inspiring person. I'm sure people are going to get very inspired with what you have to say. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
board
you,
your
Sangeeta.
Voices of Sangeeta.
Thank you for having me and completing my podcast today. Thank you so much.
Genus reminds us that life is not defined by the battles we fight, but by the courage with which we face our battles. From boardrooms to hospital rooms, from diagnosis to determination, she continues to choose life every single day. If her story has touched you, please share it, for it may encourage and give hope to someone who may need it. See you next time. Until then, goodbye, good luck. God bless.